What are earmarks? For those of you who are not familiar, earmarks are oftentimes more colloquially referred to as pork. That is, members of Congress will go in and insert a special pet project here or there in the federal budget, increasing spending by $10 billion here, $5 billion there, and as the saying goes, billion here, billion there, and before you know it, soon adds up to a lot of money. While I recognize that oftentimes, or sometimes, an earmark can be beneficial to a particular community, to paraphrase former British Prime Minister Margaret Thatcher, the problem with political pork is sooner or later you run out of other people's money. And I believe that we need comprehensive earmark reform and a temporary moratorium on congressmen putting in earmarks, because it is important to change the culture of spending in Congress. Congress currently has too much of a mentality that everything can be answered with spend, spend, spend. So that's number one. That's what we need to do. Number two, I do favor a balanced budget amendment to our federal constitution. Each and every one of you here in this room, each and every one of your families, whether you like it or not, you have a balanced budget amendment in your family. You have to make ends meet. There are very, very few people in our community. If you run out of money, you can just wave a magic wand and wish a higher income. Not many people can do that. Or do what the federal government does, that if you run out of money, you just print more. The federal government has to live within its means. Our city and state government have balanced budget amendments. The federal government should do the same. As a member of Congress, I will Lastly, finally, to specifically answer your question, Ian, regarding a bipartisan commission. Ian, you're absolutely correct. The partisan divide in the United States Congress is too sharp and it is too bitter. What I will submit to you is whether or not would I be willing to work with others across the aisle. Every politician, of course, is going to say, of course I'm bipartisan, of course I'm willing to work with others across the aisle. What I can offer to all of you here this evening is I actually have a record. What I can point to is more than just rhetoric saying I will work in a bipartisan fashion. What I can point to is I have been a member of the Honolulu City Council now for 8 years. There are 9 members on the Honolulu City Council. I am the only Republican on the Honolulu City Council. Not supposed to be a good thing, that's the only thing. But real quickly, if I were a bitter partisan Republican and only wanted to do things the Republican way, not willing to work cooperatively, I wouldn't get anything done. The reality is, though, in the last 4 years, I have passed more bills in the Honolulu City Council than any other member of the Honolulu City Council, despite the fact that I'm a Republican. That is the kind of rhetoric I will bring to the United States Congress. And I want all of you to know that yes, while I am a Republican, it is even more important, and I've always placed it as my top priority. Whether it's a state representative or a city councilman, or if I'm fortunate enough to become a United States congressman, my first absolute #1 priority are my constituents and the people of Hawaii. And if I ever have to choose between Hawaii and my party, it's no problem, no question at all. It's Hawaii. Hawaii comes first.
The idea of value-added tax. What is the position on the value-added tax?
David's question is what is my question regarding a value-added tax? For those of you who are not familiar with what that is, in quick summary, just imagine Hawaii currently has a general excise tax at the state level, as well as now one at the city and county level. Imagine another tax just like that at the federal level. It has been estimated that in order to yield the same amount of money as a value-added tax at the federal level, to yield the same amount of money as an income tax, it would probably be somewhere in the low 20s. In other words, you get the 4% state tax, as all of you pay for right now, the 0.5% city tax, and throw on that another 20, 22, 24% federal tax on top of that. What's my position on that? Easy. No. Okay, a value-added tax in addition to income tax? Okay, that's even easier. Really, no. The question is, would I recommend cutting taxes in addition to cutting spending? Ooh, these are easy questions. Yes. Actually, let me explain this here, a little bit here. The $860 billion federal stimulus package, which was instituted 14 months ago. Again, keeping in mind here, this $860 billion that the American Congress promised to all of you would prevent the national unemployment rate from ever going above 8.5%. It clearly has not worked. The problem with it is at its core, its philosophy, the $860 billion stimulus package places its faith in a few hundred bureaucrats in Washington, D.C. to make decisions on spending hundreds of millions of dollars. My philosophy is the exact opposite. I have far more faith in hundreds of millions of Americans, each spending a few hundred extra dollars, and that will do far more to stimulate our economy and get our economy back on track than a bunch of bureaucrats in Washington, D.C. Let me also be specific before I go to the next question. Why this is important for us here in Hawaii? The best example of whether or not this stimulus package has worked is for each of you to ask yourselves, have you personally benefited from the stimulus package? Have any of you personally received any contracts or any money or seen any direct effect to you personally from that stimulus package? The better way, the more effective way to get our economy rolling is to reduce our marginal tax rates and put a few $100s in the hands of each and every American. And that is important for us here in Hawaii. You know why? Because our #1 industry here in Hawaii is tourism. Spending hundreds of billions of dollars on so-called shovel-ready projects all around the mainland is not bringing more visitors to our visitor industry here. We continue to have one of the highest, one of the lowest hotel occupancy rates in over 2 decades here in Hawaii. But when you put more disposable income into the pocketbooks of all Americans, that increase in disposable income directly translates into more visitors and helps our economy here locally. And that's why we need a new approach in Congress. Stephen's question is what is my opinion on global warming and what positions would I support in the United States Congress? Let me begin actually with a little bit more explanation to each and every one of you what my position is on environmental issues and where I am on what is my environmental record. You know, as a member of the Honolulu City Council, I have been very proud to be a champion in favor of the environment. Now I know every politician in the country right now said, I'm green. Oh yeah, green's the in thing right now. Everybody wants to hug a tree right now in our country. But I want to explain to you here that I have a record to match my rhetoric. When I got elected to the Honolulu City Council, I was shocked and disappointed to find that the city and county of Honolulu was the largest city in the United States of America that did not have a comprehensive curbside recycling program. I am very proud of my record of being the lead champion and now today getting curbside recycling into our community. I am proud of my record that I authored and pushed through a real property tax exemption for renewable energy so that today any new renewable energy project built on Oahu is exempted from real property taxation. I'm happy.